What's up, y'all? It's TruthTiger, and today I'm going to talk about how the system is so disorganized and just, oh my gosh, our whole system, be it the corporate system, the religious systems, the healthcare system, the military system, man, whatever it is, the government, oh my gosh, so disorganized, bureaucracy, nobody knows what's going on, and I'm going to talk about it today. I got hit with jury duty, and I can't talk about the case or anything. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to talk about the whole process of it. And, they tell me, all right, go to this courthouse. There's a parking garage. We'll validate your parking. Go there. Okay, cool. I go there, able to get my car in the parking garage, but something kind of weird happened. I'm driving by the gate. It won't open. I'm like, maybe this gate's busted. It had like 3 or 4 different, gates to enter in. It's a big downtown parking garage. So I figure I'm at the wrong one. I see someone go in. I'm like, this gate must have a good sensor or something. So I'm able to go in, park my car. The parking garage is pretty empty. I'm like, that's weird. So I'm like, whatever. All right, let's go do this jury duty. I go to the courthouse. The courthouse is like an old 1920s building with like nice marble, but it just has not been maintained. And, when you see like court dramas and stuff on TV, they're in this big, beautiful courtroom. It looks really nice. There's plenty of space. Not us. We're shoved in some weird little back room, which is all cramped up. And the room for us to be sequestered in is this funky room. I mean, the courtroom, too, it had these this funky asbestos-like tiles. I don't know if they actually have asbestos. I just call them that. But weird, funky tiles, you just sit down at the weird old wood benches. They're kind of sticky. Things aren't clean. In that jury sequester room off to the side, they have like puzzles and kids games. And I'm like, what kid is going to be on a jury? And the area we sat in was so cramped up, and there's these weird office chairs we're sitting on. There's a little bar thing in the way I kept tripping over, and the whole time I'm just like, man, we're just in some funky room. Like, it reminded me of the DMV, except it did have some nice old marble that was not, but the marble wasn't cleaned or maintained or taken care of or anything. But I'm just like, man, I'm in some funky room. This just reminds me of the DMV. Most of the time, it's like half the time we're just waiting. Like, all right, jury goes out into the little room. You got to stay in the little room because they don't want you talking to I don't know, one of the lawyers or whatever, so you got to stay locked in this little room pretty much for 15 minutes. The room could barely fit all of us in it. And it's just oh my gosh. So on my little lunch break they gave me, I went to this Vietnamese place. I got one of those Vietnamese iced teas or iced coffees. I think it was a tea, but they put coffee flavor in it. Anyways, with those things, they just have this tea stuff. They pour a bunch of condensed milk in. I was already it's a new experience, I'm doing this jury duty thing. My stomach started to get a little bit upset. So I'm like, all right, I got to go in this. So the sequester room we were in had 2 bathrooms. So I'm going to go in one of those. And I had some wet farts. It didn't smell good. So I'm like, oh gosh, And then I realized as I'm in this bathroom, it has these old 1920s doors with little slats underneath. So I'm like, man, if someone from the right angle could literally look in and see me on the toilet taking a dump, I'm not trying to be too gross, but literally in my thought, I'm like, man, someone could see this. And I'm like, man, the smell, I'm going to stink that room up. It's going to smell like my farts because they're just going to go right under the cracks in the doors. The room already smelled bad anyways. It already had this moldy, musty smell. The place already smelled like farts anyways, so I didn't really do any damage with that, but I was just man, I'm just this is so embarrassing. I just feel embarrassed by this whole situation, And then it came time for me to leave. I'm like, okay, cool. I get to go home, go back to that parking garage. Can't get in. The doors aren't opening. And I'm like, well, and then I look on the wall and it's yeah, this parking garage is closed today. So I just got in by tailing behind someone's car. He was able to get in somehow. And that parking garage was attached to another courthouse, which was closed for, I guess it's Indigenous Peoples Day today. So this used to be Columbus Day, but they switched it to Indigenous Peoples Day. And the courthouse I was in, which is down the hill, was open, but the other one was closed. So I'm like, why is one observing the holiday but the other isn't? And now I can't get out my car. I'm like, well, and for those of you who don't know about Seattle, especially downtown Seattle, it's filled with these really steep hills. So I walk down this hill to get to the courthouse, and then I have to walk way up this steep hill to get to my car. So I'm like, crap, I got to walk up the hill again. Whatever, I didn't really exercise today, didn't do my cardio, so silver lining, I got my cardio a little bit from that hill. But I go there, I talk to this lady. She was really nice. She really wanted to help me. She didn't want me to be stuck there, but she kept giving me these numbers to call. I'm calling the numbers. It's like the wrong parking company, and they sold the lot to some other parking company, and it's used by the city of Seattle, but it's owned by a private company. And I'm like, what is going on here? So all where like the municipal people park, it's owned by not the city. I'm like, that's really weird. What's going on there? And, I'm calling the numbers. They're not answering. I'm staying calm. I don't want to get mad at this lady. She's just trying to help me out. I don't want to shoot the messenger. Talk to security. They don't really help me. They don't really know what to do. And then another lady there who I guess was like a bailiff or one of these people who kind of like leads the jury or whatever for a different case. She was like, oh yeah, a lot of my people got locked out. So she gave me the right number to call, and some security guard from like another building who didn't even work with them had to go over and let me out. And he was like kind of confused by it, but he let me out of that parking garage. So I escaped. I didn't have my car trapped in some freaking parking garage. Got my parking validated, didn't have to pay for it. But I'm just like, dear God, what a disorganized, messy, funky headache that whole freaking stitch was. Like, oh my gosh, golly gee whiz, that thing was just absolutely ridiculous, dealing with that. And it just kind of got me thinking, like, so much of what we deal with is just a bunch of disorganized nonsense from, you're trying to park your car on the street in downtown. There's all these crazy parking signs. You don't know what any of them mean. There's all these zones. It's all confusing. And we're just living in this land of like ridiculous, crazy, just bureaucratic confusion. We really are. And I've never been in the military, but I've talked to people who are in the military, and apparently it's the same kind of thing. You're having to always wait around, and they're giving you some useless bureaucratic task, and a lot of it's just kind of some just disorganized, ridiculous, time-wasting silliness. And it's like, I'm like, is everything basically just another version of the DMV? Are the courts another DMV? Is the military another DMV? Healthcare. I missed that one. Healthcare, man. That's super disorganized. You'll go in to do your healthcare, and they're not going to tell you about the insurance or how much money you might have to pay or anything. They're just sort of like, give me your insurance card, and they'll bill you what they bill you, And I don't know. I mean, I think with a lot of healthcare stuff also, it's like they don't really immediately solve your problem. We're going to test this, test that. We have to come in for one visit, then we'll get you on another visit, then another visit. It just seems like they stretch things out, delay things. You're sitting in some waiting room for like just a long time, longer than you need to. It seems like it's just a lot of time wasting, and you're sitting around and you're not really getting like the work done that needs to get done. You're not really doing the things that need to do. And it's just like, man, this is just a bunch of disorganized ridiculousness. Like, really, that's just what this stuff is a bunch of disorganized ridiculousness. And I remember I was watching a thing from like the Seattle City Council, and it was like the same kind of room I was in at that court. It was just like this dank, weird, dirty room that didn't look like it was cleaned properly, that was just something that was probably nice back when it was built in the 1920s, but was never updated, was never fixed up. Same with the community college I went to, just like this funky, dirty, disorganized, silly kind of thing. And like the education system, that's another one that's super disorganized. You're gonna get your transcript, and you're this and you're that, and there's all this paperwork and bureaucracy, and can we get you the scholarship? And you have to have this paperwork and that paperwork, and there's this advisor and this bureaucrat and this and this that. And it's a lot of corporations. Most corporations are like that too. There's all this bureaucracy and legal and all these HR trainings and just all this freaking BS. And it's just like, man, just like, when does it end? Like, can we be sleek, efficient, figure things out, work together? But nah, it's just this big, ridiculous, funky, disorganized mess. That's what the system will give you, is a big, funky, disorganized mess. So thank you all so much for listening. Much love, God bless, and I will see you all next time.